If you want to see how to go from this to this, keep on watching. Okay, you guys, so I recently bought a case of the SuperMarkers 80 color set, and I received 4 markers that were basically all crusty and crystallized like this. And in that review, I showed you guys that I had a couple that were just basically useless and I wasn't going to be able to do anything with them. So I came up with an easy way to fix that problem, and I'm going to show you guys how you can do that if you ran into the same problem I had. So first, you're going to need to remove the nib that is all crystallized, and usually it is the chisel nib that is all crystallized. So you just remove that, and you're going to have like some crusty residue and stuff left over on the nib. You're just going to want to put on gloves. I don't know why I didn't have gloves on in the beginning, but I needed gloves. So I highly recommend you guys getting a pair of gloves. Next, you're going to want to get some 91% alcohol, and I just got this from Walgreens. You're also going to need some type of container or a bowl to pour the alcohol in. And you also need some type of mixing utensil too. So if you want to use a spoon, some type of spatula, or whatever you choose, you need that as well. Next, you're going to take that 91% alcohol and that chisel nib and basically saturate the chisel nib with the 91% alcohol. And then you're going to scrape off wherever there are little crusty bits still on to your chisel nib. Then grabbing whatever ink of your choice, I have this watercolor liquid that I got off of, I think that was AliExpress. But you want to find something that is alcohol based if you have an alcohol based marker. But if you can't find anything like that, you can also just use the liquid watercolor like I'm doing today, and just use the 91% alcohol as your base. But basically the watercolor liquid is just going to be your pigment. Then you're going to grab your 91% alcohol again and basically just pour a bunch of that into the liquid watercolor or whatever ink you're choosing to use. You can also use this with watercolor based markers. So if you have any type of markers that are watercolor, you can just use this same exact step. You can either use watercolor liquid and regular water if you want to dilute it, or if you are too cheap like me and want a quick fix, you can go ahead and use the 91% alcohol and use it for your alcohol based markers. Now, since this marker was so dry, I'm going to go ahead and shoot some 91% alcohol directly into, I don't know, this little spot that holds the ink, just to make sure that that inside part is wet before you start putting in your new mixture of pigment ink. You want to make sure that it is nice and moist so it doesn't just absorb all in there and basically you have no pigment onto your nib. This step right here will probably be easier with like some type of dropper or some type of, I don't know, medicine dispenser type thing. That's what I use to refill the other markers, but I couldn't find it, so I'm just going ahead and using this old baby spoon. And just to make sure that the ink is saturated and pigmented, so I checked the little sponge thing that's in there before I put the chisel nib back in there to make sure that it's all saturated. And then right after that, I'm just going to clean the barrel off, and I'm going to give it a good shake to make sure that it is evenly distributed inside of the marker. Now, just to make sure that the marker is working, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of passes. And remember, this was the before, and now we have a fully operational marker once again. And I wanted to show you guys what would happen if you had like too much ink in there as well, because you do want to kind of let your marker sit before you just jump right in. But those huge little stains and extra wet spots are what happens when you have too much ink not evenly distributed into the marker. So you want to give it a minute before you just go ahead and jump and use the marker. Here are the other markers that were also crystallized. This is the evergreen, and I also had cool blue, and I believe the other one was like light aqua blue or something like that. But anyway, you can go ahead and just use whatever marker refills that you want to use. So if you really don't want to have to go through the steps of using the 91% alcohol and whatever little liquid ink you can find, you can go ahead and use any type of marker refill. So if you want to use a Copic refill, that's great, or any other brand of refills. And that light aqua color, I'm probably just going to come up with a custom color just because I didn't like that blue in the first place. So yeah, I'm gonna come up with my own custom color for this marker. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Love you. Bye. Stay moisturized and eat your vegetables.